Hey, I've been playing some games.
What?
Nuh-uh.
Well, that's all the time we have, folks. We'll see.
All right. Well,
See you next week.
The main one I want to talk about is Unto the End. So, Unto the End is a game I beat this past weekend on the Brunch Special. Beat it in 2 morning sessions. Normally 4 hours to beat. I don't know. I leisured my way through it, but it is a cinematic platformer a la Limbo or Inside. You know, it's just a very pretty looking platformer. Minimal puzzles. Really, there aren't any puzzles in the game. The point of this game is that you are a Viking-looking dad, and you go off on a journey.
He is a ginger.
She saw the trailer. This is the one where you play a bearded ginger with a sword, and you are exploring, and you fall into this cavern, and you see these creatures, these almost troll, goblin-looking creatures. And the point of the game is that you're just trying to get back to your family. But this is a side-scroller where there are very few buttons, but you've got a sword and a dagger. Use the sword to attack high or attack low, or to block high or block low. You can dodge and roll and some stuff like that. But that's the combat. Occasionally you'll find like a spear you can throw, but that's the combat. And there are no words in the game. There's no explanation for anyone's motives other than you're trying to find your family. And so it's a game where you don't have to fight. You don't always have to fight to get past enemies. So sometimes you can offer up supplies that you find to totally prevent a fight. Like the first time you see that, you find a goblin that has like a missing arm, and it's him and his buddy. And when you approach them, they don't immediately attack you. You can offer a few different items, but if you offer an herb, then they'll just chill out. But I learned that,
as one does.
Yeah, no matter how many things you offer them, if you don't put your sword away, they still think you're hostile, which checks out. I was streaming this, and I had to have all of chat, including Carlos, be like, "You fool! Put away your sword!" And when I finally did, I was just like, "Oh, now I can just walk by him, no problem." But it's very fun. It's very much the game tells you at the beginning. It's a game where it wants you to have it wants you to observe and just try to figure out what you're supposed to do. Not in a puzzle way, but in a way that emulates first contact with not really an enemy, but like an unknown species, I guess. So a lot of that, we got a lot more insight into that because the developer, who is 2 Ton Studios, made up of 2 people, the developer joined chat and hung out with us and was just talking about the game. Yeah. I've never had anything like that happen before. I mean,
cool.
It was so cool. So Steven from 2 Ton Studios popped in there and told us a bunch of their inspiration, you know, from movies and a bunch of things that inspired it. I mean, some of the things were inspired by Celeste. So like I had mentioned that the game doesn't have difficulty it doesn't have a difficulty setting you choose. Instead, you can reduce the speed of combat from 100% to either 75 or 50. And I made some cracks at the beginning of the game. I was just like, I don't think I'll need this. And
absolutely necessary.
I died so many times, and finally, like, Steven, the guy, is in there, and he's like, "Hey, don't forget, you'd probably do better if you turn down the difficulty." And I'm just like, yeah, I think you'd know better than anybody. I should probably do that. So I did, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more, and I would change it as combat became either more difficult or easier. But it's simple mechanics that you just need to figure out how to use. You might see repeats of some enemies, but there are a lot of unique enemies. The game's only 4 hours long on paper. So it's not like you just fight a bunch of regular enemies and then you fight a boss version of that enemy. You're never really sure what you're going to find. But anyway, I really like that game. It's gorgeous. It has minimal soundtrack, very ambient. But he explained that a lot of his inspiration came from movies like The Revenant with Leonardo DiCaprio, where you're just in the wilderness. He mentioned
Great film.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He mentioned what's it called? Contact? No. What's the?
I think he mentioned Arrival.
Arrival. That's the one I'm thinking of.
Oh,
he mentioned those.
He's a cinephile. This guy.
Oh yeah.
He is.
Yeah.
He also mentioned like a little bit of No Country for Old Men, where it's the idea of characters just like moving through a world and reacting to what's around them, which I appreciated. But that was really cool. I enjoyed the game more than I thought I was going to. It has like very mixed reviews online, like pretty much everywhere. And I totally see why there are mixed reviews on it. I mean, you know, there's stuff I liked, there's stuff I didn't, but I definitely liked it more than I thought I was going to. And because I know now that some encounters you can just skip, like running from an encounter is a totally reasonable option, because like there's one really big enemy that there's only one of in the game, and I died a million times to him. But eventually I did kill it. But when you kill it, there's like no loot. Like you get a stick, you know, you get very, very much nothing, which I like in the game, that it tells you, it's like, hey, fighting things isn't the only answer. It's not even the best answer. And that was illustrated with the loot. It's not a game where you kill enemies to get the loot. It's a game where you're just surviving, and sometimes enemies are around trying to get, you know, trying to protect themselves, basically. But yeah, I liked it more than I thought. I might go back off stream and try to beat it again, now that I have a better grip on the combat. Also, there are at least a couple hidden collectibles. Not collectibles, but armor. The only unbreakable armor in the game, apparently, is hidden, and I kind of want to go find it.
Just gonna talk to Steven first.
Yeah, I'll be like, hey, man.
So
drop me a hint.
Yeah.
A little hint.
At one point, I was revisiting an area. I got, like, not really stuck, but I ended up backtracking for some reason. And in the game, you can use a dagger. You've got your sword, and you've got your dagger. And if you are near an enemy, you'll stab with the dagger. But if you're not, you'll throw the dagger. Well, I accidentally threw that dagger 100 times while I was playing. Like, I would just be standing there and be like, oh, there it goes again. And so one of the times I threw the dagger, and I was like, where is it? It's not on the ground. And then it flashed, and I was like, wait, can I climb up here? And it turned out I had accidentally thrown the dagger into a passageway that was hidden. It's all black. You only can find it if you go over and jump around in that area. And so I was like, oh, there's actually a thing back here. And I found an item that no longer allows me to be disarmed, which is great, because you can easily drop your sword in this game. But it was nice. So, yeah, I totally understand why that game has mixed reviews, but I really enjoyed playing it a lot more than I anticipated.
Nice.
But yeah, I just thought that was so cool that the developer popped into Twitch chat and just, like, hung out. Yeah, I felt a little starstruck. But that's, I mean, that's definitely something you get with a small studio. I mean, that is the indiest of games. I pulled it up. This is their very first ever game.
And it like came out in December, right? And then it just got to Game Pass, something like that.
Yep. It just came to Game Pass. It is available on everything, as far as I can tell on here. I like on their website, it shows a bunch of reviews. Vice says, a masterclass of unceremonious restraint.
That's a good
Pure PlayStation.
That's a really fun one.
Mechanic is utterly unique to me and offers possibly one of the most rewarding adventures in recent history. That's strong praise. And then one of the ones nestled in here is, please don't buy, it's hot garbage, and garbage is spelled wrong. And then it's quoting some person who I assume hated the game on Steam or something. But I like that.
That's good.
I appreciate a sense of humor. So that's Unto the End, which I mistakenly tried to call Into the Breach, or like Unto the Breach several times. I like that game. I would recommend checking out some gameplay of that before playing it, because I would generally say whatever your first instinct is, that's how you're going to feel about it. If you think you'll like it, you probably like it. If you think you'd like a more polished experience, then maybe try their next game.
If you think you like garbage, spelled with
Garbage.
garbage.
And of course, you can just drop by our VODs and maybe soonish on YouTube.
Yeah.
And like and subscribe.
Like